Hello, everybody. My name is Silva Harapetian. I have spent most of my career in newsrooms across the country. I have started multiple online businesses, and I'm a Amazon best-selling author. If you want to know more about me, you can go take a look at my website. We don't have time for that. Today, we're actually having a conversation about something that everybody is thinking about, and that is our financial health. There is so much panic and fear around businesses, startups, and where our world and what our pocketbooks are going to look like once we come out of this pandemic, that I thought it was important for us to have a conversation with the professionals and the people and the experts who work in this space. And this leads me right to introducing my guest, my friend, my co-worker in some cases, my client and confidant and mentor, Arielle Loren, who is based out of Miami. She is a powerhouse in her own right. She is the founder of 100K Incubator, the first business funding mobile application for women in Google and Apple stores.
Hey sis, welcome to the 100K Incubator Bootcamp.
She's helping hundreds of thousands of women around the country not only get financing and help in building their businesses, but also figuring out how to achieve financial freedom. So when it comes to financial education and figuring out how to make more money, she is the person who knows exactly where to get your money and more importantly, how to use your money when you get it.
And that's exactly what I want to do. One woman at a time, one business at a time, one community at a time.
She is a graduate of Harvard University, where she holds a master's degree in management and a graduate certificate in strategic management. She's worked with big names. If you want to know more about her, her resume is very long and very impressive. Go to her website. I'll make sure there's links to it. But in the meantime, I also want to introduce her so that you can figure out how to navigate this crisis within your business, within your life. So with that said, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
No, thank you for having me, Silva. It's an honor to be here and just happy to be of service, honestly.
You know, I have to sort of tell people because, you know, it's important that when we feature guests and when we feature experts and when we put their expertise on a platform to go out to the world, that people know that this is coming from someplace that is extremely credible, that is coming from a place that is that has history and has a proven methodology behind it. And I'm so blessed and impressed at watching your journey building the 100K Incubator. Lesson 1, action. When we first met, you had been talking about doing this, but then to watch you to actually create the app, build it out, and put hundreds of women through the program and mentor them into success stories, and watch you then subsequently dominate the media landscape, being featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Cheddar TV, and so many other credible publications. I think it is a testament to really the value that you bring to people, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, it's been a journey. Building a business in this day and age is very different than maybe what our parents or our grandparents actually experienced. One, I think this is the first time the business community is seeing public health be put above their needs and what's kind of going on, right? And so it's shocking to have your business literally shut down if you're a brick and mortar and there's nothing you can do about it. And to make that navigation and realize that you have to pivot, to realize that you have to learn a digital landscape and think of new business models that maybe you were dabbling in before, but now you're actually like, this is going to have to be the lifeblood of my business if I'm going to survive. And then there's so much else that's happening between, trying to get, government, assistance and navigating community funds and the private sector. Just remember that we've gone through recessions before. Maybe it hasn't been, this drastic in terms of the shutdown, but we will rebound because the economy goes in cycles, and that's just kind of how we do things. So yeah.
Yeah, and it brings up a point of how important it is to not shun the new ways, right? I mean, we have so many people that fight the online component and the digital component of building a business. Everyone has gone digital or is trying to figure out how to go digital. What do you think this means for our landscape moving forward?
I mean, there's some businesses that there really isn't much we can do, like the travel industry.
Oh, yeah.
But then there are other businesses like the restaurant industry, right? And so there has been, just catastrophic damage that has happened to that industry. But at the same time, it's like, hey, going hard on delivery, figuring out how to reach your customers digitally, repackaging some of your menu offerings to be able to serve a lot of these families who would probably really love, to have, different types of meals. Because let's face it, what can we do right now? Work and eat. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, work.
And hopefully you can work out an exercise routine somewhere.
So I do still feel like restaurants have a bit of a fighting chance, compared to the travel industry. It's just about repositioning it. The truth of the matter is, when we look at the government assistance that is coming out, it's not going to be enough. And so you have to figure out a way to innovate. You have to pivot your business model, and you have to figure out a way to bring in revenue, or, you need to have something in reserves. If you don't have it, I mean, there's nothing you can do at this point, but hopefully if you do have something in reserves to sustain you over the next couple of months, you're going to have to press pause and live off of that. So that's just kind of what the situation is.
How do we help people adopt the mindset of seeing their business and what they've been doing in a different light? Because for those of us in the digital space, right? I mean, it took me a long time to learn to think that way, because we just aren't, if you haven't grown up in the technology driven world, right? Your brain doesn't operate that way, right? You have to learn to think about, how do I acquire customers digitally? How do I nurture these customers digitally? If you depended on foot traffic or traffic coming to you, you have to figure out how to go get it. You have to figure out how is it even possible to take what I do and then offer it in a way that doesn't require a physical interaction with someone? How do we teach people to start thinking from that perspective and have the mindset to do some of the exercises necessary to pivot and restructure their business?
Well, I always like to say that pain forces change, right? And this is not about preference, this is about survival. And so no longer is this a situation where it's like, yeah, I'll kind of learn that digital stuff. It's like, do you want to survive? Do you want to survive over the next couple of months? Okay, you're going to have to jump in and get your hands dirty. And so for us, one of the things that we've been doing is that 100K Incubators are partnering with local governments to reach these local small business owners, to be able to provide them with our apps curriculum in terms of the way that we teach people not only how to get access to funding and capital and to manage their finances, but also how to get into that digital technology. So the funnels, the paid advertising, the SEO, all of that is really what's going to make the difference. In addition to a lot of the things that you teach, Silva, which is about, media and marketing and, all of that, because now is the time that you are going to have to go hard on your local community, because they are going to pretty much be the lifeblood of your survival at this point. And so you have to look at all your touch points. It's like, okay, can I run ads to this particular zip code and tell my community that I'm here for them if I'm a restaurant, right? Can I figure out a way to get on the local news that everybody just can't keep their eyes off of, and tell my story about how I'm giving back to the community and, again, here to serve. And so you have to start thinking about, where are people's eyeballs right now, and how can I position my business in front of them, not in a sleazy, tone-deaf, salesy way, but in a way that says, hey, we're going through this too. We're part of this community too. We've been supporting this community too. And right now, we would love to basically work together, so that we can continue to show up and serve after this pandemic.
And it is incredibly important to also talk about you and your clients. There's been never a time that is so important to have your finances in check. I know I've been blowing your phone up as I've been going through my finances, and I know I'm not the only small business. Never has there been a time that we have to know what our books look like, where our money goes, and how to then apply for assistance, how to use this as an opportunity to pivot, how to use this as an opportunity to grow. So let's talk a little bit about that, the importance of having your financial house in order.
Yeah, I mean, if you are an operational business, so let's put the startups aside who haven't gotten to that place yet. But if you're a small business and you've been in operation for at least a year, you're going to notice that as these SBA packages come out, they're asking for specific things. Now, they have streamlined applications. They're not as complicated as they first were when it dropped. But they still, want to know certain things about, your revenue, your cost of goods sold, what are your payroll expenses, the differences, between maybe your contractors and your employees, and, do you have documentation of these things, and have you filed your taxes, for 2019? If you haven't done it for 2019, did you file it for 2018? And so there are all these things that I think sometimes as small business owners, we might put off until a certain time of the year, but it's in times like this that having your documents like together is so important. I would say one of the other professions or industries that's doing really well right now is the CPAs, the accountants, right? Because everyone's going to them realizing that to get assistance, they have to have their books in order. And so I've talked to a lot of my accountant friends who are like, their phones are ringing off the hook about these SBA applications because so many people are realizing I don't have my stuff together. And so
I'm not going to lie. I spent 4 hours yesterday just to figure out the number I needed to put on the PPP application. And you think you have it, but you don't. Even though the taxes are filed, they need very specific numbers. And I had to come to you. I'm like, does this count as what this, and does that count? And but it's also complicated and overwhelming for a lot of people, right? What are some of the things that you are hearing from your from the people that you mentor, from the women that are in the incubator? What are some of the challenges that you have been listening to, and how are you assisting them through that?
I think in relation to the funding applications with the government, a lot of people are just really overwhelmed. There are a lot of applications. The communication is not streamlined as well. And so there's just a lot of links and instructions and even financial institutions saying, we haven't heard from the government, we don't know, don't call us, so there's a lot, that's happening. And I think a lot of people are overwhelmed and getting frustrated. So that's, one piece. The second piece I'm hearing is like, is it okay for me to sell at this time? Because I understand that people are going through kind of financial hardship and, maybe they don't want another t-shirt, or maybe they don't.
Oh, is it okay for me to sell goods and services is what you're hearing?
Yeah, okay. Is it okay, for me to kind of be out there? Are people going to buy my stuff? And I think, my response to them is always just don't be tone deaf, and find a way to fit what it is that you're offering into what's going on. Maybe, if you're selling luxury shoes, at this point in time, nobody's leaving the house. So are people going to be as excited or pressed to buy some luxury shoes? Probably not, because frankly, we're not going to be able to wear them probably for another couple of months. But if you tie that luxury shoe to maybe a philanthropic effort to support a lot of the healthcare needs that are happening, the people who have disposable income and who are also looking to give back, they're like, that's a win-win for them. So I think that it's things like that, like you have to also think about how do I connect with what's going on, and then through that, put some sort of philanthropic model into your business right now. And really, if you could keep it, great, and make that your way of being able to connect with your audience and selling.
Yeah, absolutely. This brings up a really great point. You and I talk about this all the time, the power of the story within the way you sell, which is what marketing is really all about, and which is what your Facebook, content and part of your curriculum is about how to position what you're doing in the marketplace so that you can pivot depending on what's going on in the world when you can't control what's going on around you in the world. And for those businesses that are going to survive, you and I think, have seen the pivot that's happening on social media. If you don't know what we're talking about, just scroll down Facebook and you'll see people who are still selling content, they're selling services, they're selling goods, and it's just the way they're positioning it is different, and it's not sleazy and salesy. Their messaging has changed significantly, and it is extremely important, I think, and you can maybe elaborate on how we do this, for us to look at our messaging and our positioning and who we are and what we do in the world in face of this pandemic, because there's going to be a new normal coming out of this. Things are not going to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is going to be a new normal. But I think this is good. I think this is what builds muscle as a business owner, to be able to pivot, and to be able to really adapt to the times. I think you have to be flexible as a CEO. And if you're used to only doing business a certain way, you're going to get your behind handed to you, to be honest, because the world of business is always changing. It might not ever be as drastic as a pandemic, the way that we're experiencing it now. But there are always going to be bumps that come up along the way, and you have to figure out how to scale over those bumps. And so I just see this as a great exercise. I see it as a great call to rise to the challenge of, figuring out how to make your business work in this current situation and this economy. And I'm just telling, all the women who are part of our incubator that you just have to figure it out. We're here to help you, figure it out. And so that's just really what the work is right now. We can't run from it.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the startups, because I know that there's a lot of women in the incubator that you also mentor that started a business as a side hustle in order for them to create financial freedom for themselves or a business for themselves down the road. So that, a lot of people with the intention of quitting their jobs and really investing in their business and building their business. How are they doing? What can they take away from this, and how do we help them survive? How do we help them not to give up?
Well, I mean, I think right now it depends on what kind of startup you are. I have a lot of high-tech startups, health-related startups, childcare-related startups, et cetera, that, are pretty much in the last phases of being ready to start going after their seed round. Working on their pitch decks, their prototypes, their proof of concept, all of that. And they're asking me, they're like, am I going to be able to raise capital, right now? The truth of the matter is that when the economy starts to go a little crazy, there are a lot of people who are very high net worth who are looking to invest and looking for opportunities because anyone who kind of sits at that economic level knows that recessions are opportunities. And so if you can find the right opportunities to be able to put your money in those places, you can see substantial returns in the next 5 to 10 years. And so it isn't the situation where all money is locked up. It's not true. But it is about positioning, right? And so if you have a health startup that's relevant to a lot of the pain points that we're seeing with COVID right now, I think raising a round is actually not going to be that hard over the next couple of months because the pain is right in front of everyone's face and the need is right in front of everyone's face.
Right.
And so what I always say is that, it obviously is going to depend on the startup that you have. If you have a startup that's not really relevant to kind of what's going on, like maybe if you're just looking to start a dress company, it's like, okay, right now, maybe a dress company is not going to be what's going to make people excited to kind of be able to invest. But if you're figuring out a way to start a scrubs, company or, some sort of like dry cleaning pickup service, that sterilizes and, gets these scrubs and these masks out, I can raise capital for that very easily right now. But if you are a startup, I think community funds, I think that looking into potentially even local governments who might have put some money aside for those startups that might still be available and be sectioned off from, existing kind of operational businesses. I definitely think investors as well are looking for opportunities. So it's really just about being in a program that can kind of just guide you and having a mentor who can kind of just guide you in terms of where to actually look for the money so that you can actually get off the ground.
All great information. And one of the reasons I love what you do is because a lot of people have ideas about starting a side hustle or starting a business or, living their dream of they have a product or a service that they want to roll out. But many times the thing that really stops them is knowing how from the financial standpoint. How do I roll this out so that I can fund what I need to fund within the business? And part of what I love about your program is that it is such an affordable app that once you get in, there is such great content and understanding all of the aspects and roadblocks that you will face as you are trying to put your business together. So yes, I'm giving an absolute plug and to the incubator, but there's reason for it. Remind me again, how much is it to get in and what people are going to get once they enroll into the incubator?
Yeah, so the incubator, so 100K Incubator, you can find it both in my link on Instagram in addition to in Apple and Google's app stores. So it is $19.99 per month, or you can buy a year-long membership for $99. And when you first enter, you're going to be greeted with a community. There is a 50-plus video boot camp that walks you through the process of preparing your financials for funding.
I am so excited that you made it here and that you're ready to learn the steps to getting funding and growing your business.
The 12 different options that you have for funding, and what different application materials are required for that. In addition to also connecting you with different financial and funding resources in different institutions. And then there's also kind of the third piece of the bootcamp that really teaches you that scaling process, tapping into that paid advertising, those sales funnels, understanding how to structure and build your website depending on the industry that you're in. So I really designed the curriculum to be a full life cycle kind of overview of what a business is going to go through, when they're getting started. And so we love it. It's really just been an honor to serve all the women who have been part of our app. It's been even more exciting to be partnering with these local governments as well, so that they can actually take this curriculum and share it to the small businesses who really need it right now and who need to pivot. Pivoting to digital is something that we've been doing really, really well. It's something that I've built my career on, and so that's really our specialty. So yeah.
Talk to me about some of the success stories. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I wouldn't feature and bring somebody on and put them on a platform if I didn't actually see the process and the progress and the success stories behind it. And I love seeing the wins that from women who are coming out of the incubator. Talk to me a little bit about that.
That actually has been one of my favorite parts of just seeing how the women have just jumped in, like really taken the content seriously, asked amazing questions, and then saw actually quick results. Money, money, money! We have a ton of testimonials at 100KIncubator.com. But some of the ones that stick out, we had one woman. We got her access to just $14,000 in capital in her first 30 days, and she was able to turn that into $35,000 in sales. We had, another woman who only got access to $10,000, but was able to increase her sales by 400%. We had another woman who had been trying to get access to capital for 2 years, came into our program. We got her approved for $30,000 in 30 days. And so we definitely know where to look for the money and how to help you get access to it based on the level of business that you're currently operating at. And more importantly, we know how to tell you what to do with that money. And so it's not just getting you access to capital. It's like, okay, I have the capital, but how do I actually multiply it? And so breaking things down in a way that people understand that there are systems to this. There are, campaigns and ways that you have to position your business and tell your story, write your copy, target your ads. These are all things that are essential parts of building a business right now in this digital age. And so it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing just to see all the different kind of success stories that have popped up. And they continue to pop up because I really feel like right now, even for us, it is a really fertile time to prove that our model still works in the midst of a pandemic. And so I'm excited to see the testimonials that we're currently creating in terms of businesses that are coming to us and saying, I'm about to lose it. How do I get out of this? And then to watch how they implement the curriculum and how we support them over the next couple of months, and they come out better than they were when they first came in. And so I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
How do you keep people's spirits up? How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them going? Because really that's the job of a mentor, to make sure that they don't give up.
I think now, like I said, is the time to build those muscles to be able to keep your vibration and to keep your mindset and your temperature, even. You know what? The bills might be late. Okay. You know what?
That's just life of a business owner, right?
The life of a business owner.
You have to make decisions.
This is part of it, and I think that's what people have to understand. Don't become an entrepreneur just because you want to make more money. You become an entrepreneur because you recognize that there's something in you that you want to be able to actually share and offer to solve a problem, right? And so if you are really committed to solving that problem, if you are really committed to serving, you're not going to give up. And it will take as long as it takes.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to also remember is, you're not going to be perfect. Yeah, nothing in your business is going to be perfect. And when you are building a business, particularly when it comes to finances, it's not going to be perfect. Your personal finances aren't going to be perfect, and your business finances aren't going to be perfect. And where this financial education comes into play is helping you figure out how to make those critical decisions, like which bill can wait and which bill needs to be paid. because that decision could have a lasting impact on the life cycle of your business. And I kind of knew that before, but I certainly learned the importance and the significance of it even more in working with you. So being educated and knowing exactly what you're dealing with is, I think, 90% of the battle, because those decisions really can make or break your business. Let's talk a little bit about some practical do's and don'ts for people who are listening to this, whether you are a brick and mortar business, established business, online business, side hustle kind of person, whatever it is that you're doing. Let's give them some tips. Let's give them some takeaways on how to manage, how to survive, what to do, what not to do at this time.
Now is not the time to isolate. It's the time that you want to be connected to other business owners, especially those that are in your industry and are going through what you're going through. And so in order to find out what best practices are and what's actually working in terms of this atmosphere and this economy, you're going to have to look around and see and talk to people and, just be very inquisitive. And together, I feel like as a collective and as a community, we will figure out how to make things work during this time. So yeah, number one, don't isolate. Number two, invest in your education. You're at home. Now is the time to get through those courses that you've either bought in the past or that you've been wanting to buy, to take your education up to the next level, especially in areas like digital that you might not be as savvy in. And so if you wanted to learn how to advertise, if you wanted to learn how to write copy, if you wanted to learn how to shoot proper video, if you wanted to learn how to pitch the media and to market properly, now is the time to invest in those courses. There are a lot of great deals that are being ran. A lot of course creators and educators want their content to help people. And so now is the time to actually go through those programs and to consume that information and actually get access to those people who have created that content so that you can ask questions about how to apply what they teach to your current business situation, right? So yeah, definitely invest in your education. And then three, I would say, is just you have to be patient. And so, you know what? This might not be the highest time in your business, but if you can find a way to at least break even, if you can find a way to stabilize and to stop the bleeding, that's what counts at this point. And so we will have other quarters that are amazing, and we will get back to that point in the economy where people are spending money and sales are through the roof and, all of those things. That's not your job right now. Your job right now is to stabilize. Your job right now is to figure out, how do I take care of myself? How do I take care of my business? How do I take care of my employees if I have them? How do I get started if I'm a startup? And just be really patient with whatever process is going to be required during this time. So those are the three tips that I would give everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you listeners and viewers have taken away some good nuggets of information in this conversation. I hope that it most of all inspired you to stay positive and inspired you to continue to strive for that dream, for that side hustle, for that opportunity. I hope that it actually planted a seed for you to think a little bit differently about the way you do business. So again, the incubator is only $19.95. Is that correct?
$19.99.
$19.99. Sorry, I should know the platform. The incubator is only $19.99. There's never been a better time to get educated about your financial status and financial well-being of your business, and how to apply those things to your business. Thank you for your time, Arielle.
No, thank you for having me, Silva. This has been so fun.
Bye, everybody.